have returned here at the Rainbow Six North American League. Doa, your host, here with my two wonderful analysts, Jacob and Cookies. And guess what, guys? We're a little over halfway done with the day. 3 maps in the bag, 2 maps to go.
That's so fast.
I know.
How are we here?
Attack a Reek, man. It feels like things go so quick now.
Seriously.
And well, let's say, it's a kind of a blink in the miss and you miss it thing. So let's take a moment and take a look at what we've experienced so far today. You can see our results early on. Parabellum got that win that they were searching for yesterday. Space Station Gaming continues the momentum, and then of course Oxygen getting the win over Astralis. I feel like where yesterday was a day of some pretty significant upsets. Today, would you say it's fairly more run-of-the-mill results? Although that first one, I think people still weren't expecting the Sonics to quite get taken out by Parabellum.
I think at this point in the day, it's pretty similar to this point from yesterday, where we had 2 kind of expected wins and then 1 complete and total upset out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about the Sonics at the bottom of the scoreboard, at the bottom of the standings for next week, and that still kind of stings a little bit.
Yeah, I think the day's going quickly because people are getting wrecked.
That's another way to put it for sure.
This season has gone to overtime yet. I'm still waiting for that.
I would chalk it up to, people just kind of getting used to things again. Everybody's kind of shaking out the rust. If there's a mismatch, that's going to be something that's maybe felt a little bit more keenly, perhaps, than we'll feel, later on, stage 2, stage 3, when everyone's been playing for a few months. They're used to being in the studios. They're used to that rhythm, right, with the practice.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We're only just getting started here. But it's time to move on to our next series. It's going to be none other than TSM, our SI champions, taking on XSET. And this is going to be an interesting one, right? Because TSM obviously winning the 6 Invitational, but then dropping a game yesterday, and no one was really kind of expecting that. Then XSET, another team, I feel like people have put some fairly high expectations on this roster. Certainly an improvement on paper over what we saw from that former roster last year that got relegated, but still unable to pick up the win. What's your take on this, Cookies, coming into this one?
It's funny you said it's an improvement, but technically, the old XSET did better against SSG than the new one. I mean,
You're not
XSET.
wrong.
I said on paper.
It's just, the paper is the numbers, right? I mean,
sure.
The old XSET was going 8-7 and 7-5 with SG, and this team is just kind of lost worse. So I don't know. I mean,
I'm putting more stock into XSET because I'm hoping that they'll do better with the players that they've got. It's very much understanding where everyone individually came from last year, and knowing, in spite of there not being chemistry, there will be chances for them to get some unexpected wins. But man, they got the hardest week of any team, specifically in the NAL for this first week. They got Space Station and TSM back to back. That's if that doesn't crush your mental after 2 straight games, it needs to not, because you got the rest of the stage after these 2 are done. So
they tweeted about it, didn't they? Our mentals.
Exactly. Yeah, let's take a look at some of those tweets. I'm glad you brought that up, because the mental state of a team is almost as important, perhaps more so important, than what they're able actually to do mechanically, strategically. Here's some tweets here from the coach over on XSET. GG's Space Station had some mental issues after some choke rounds. Our executes are still a little shaky due to lack of experience, but I think we had a good showing overall. TSM next. So there you go. You acknowledge what went wrong, Jacob. You kind of get ready for the next one.
And I do think it makes sense, the lack of experience. It's nice that you have something you can kind of point the finger at right now that everyone will generally accept, but understanding who's meant to be leading the team is something I think they're still trying to figure out, because right now I don't really know what to expect attack-wise. They still have a 0% attacking win rate with this new roster, and that's not the thing they need right now.
And it's the perfect time to say this.
Yeah.
I fully empathize with XSET right now, because I played SSG once in a scrim, and I got beat so bad, I retired, and I became a caster.
Wait a second. The last comp you played?
That was my last scrim, was SSG. So they gave me mental issues too. So XSET, I get it. I understand.
SSG just booming people right out of the competitive circuit,
God.
I guess. Wow.
Quite literally.
Well, let's check out what Kino had to say about the match yesterday. Got to work on our mental, but overall, I'm proud of the boys. You lose, you learn. Exactly. Back in the StarCraft 2 days, there was a player named White Raw, well known for his phrase, more GG, more skill. So that's the thing. You don't win a lot, or you don't learn a lot from the wins. You learn from the losses. You mentioned it before. It's a tough week for the new XSET squad, but it's not over yet. It's only halfway done. They've got this match today. Yeah, it's against TSM, But, at least to me, it feels like, they're in that headspace where it's like, all right, we know what we need to do coming into this one. Now the question is, can they execute? Let's find out what the map is going to be as we talk about it.
Yeah, why not? Again, this is a case where the guys on XSET still don't have a very defined ban or pick tendencies, so we'll have to see what they choose to do and what they want to take away from, again, the current world champion. So I think a lot of their bans are going to be against maps that TSM are already pretty good on, which is the case. They're banning TSM's best maps straight out of the gate. Clubhouse, kind of a comfort pick for a lot of teams. I'm pretty sure XSET may or may not have something in the bag for that one, but if nothing else, we won't see it. We won't see a Villa. Again, TSM actually won the 6th Invitational against Empire on said map. I think, what infinite overtime scenario, if memory serves. It took a little bit for them to get there, but they finally did. No border, so I think this is kind of where TSM can get creative. If they understand XSET need to take their good maps off the table, they can do some stuff with the new ones. They'll take border out. No skyscraper for XSET, kind of a similar mentality, realizing that there are still plenty of options for TSM. Banning out Oregon, not a bad one. No theme park, but I think we're going to be in a scenario where no matter what, TSM is going to have a good map. It's between Chalet and Bank. We've seen both those maps already played today, but it's a 63% win rate or higher since Stage 3 for TSM on both of them, and we're going to Chalet, which is an 80% win rate for TSM. Not really much we can say about XSET's overall tendencies, but what we're looking at is still a taste of what TSM can do on a good map, one that they're very well known for. So TSM are already forcing XSET to enter the Lion's Den.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had two really good choices there, honestly. Yeah. You either have a bank that you can just, I'm sure the coach from TSM watched that one and maybe said, we can go there. I like that.
Of course.
You also have a Chalet like you hyped up. It's quite a good Chalet, I would say. A world championship quality Chalet.
Yeah.
So two good choices for TSM.
So, but the thing is like, how much does that really matter in the end? Those are old results, right? Those are against a team. Those are against teams that they've played in the past and all that. They have never played against this XSET roster before, right?
Yeah.
And, the thing is again, there's a lot of individual skill on XSET. We know that in theory, once they kind of get a little bit of the shot calling sort of a little bit ironed out, we might have something pretty potent here. But let's focus on TSM for the moment here as we watch the players get ready. TSM, again, weird to say, looking for their first win in NAL, and how wild would it be if we saw TSM go 0-2? It's almost unthinkable, isn't it?
I mean, we thought that about the Sonics before this week began, and look at the situation they find themselves in. I'm certainly hoping that the same won't be the case for the current reigning world champions. It's still an XSET squad that, in spite of having a coach that I do trust can VOD review to a very insane extent in Bodega with Vivas in the back, I'm still looking at this TSM roster and thinking no skin off their back. Even if for some reason they do lose this because it's the start of a season, they may have some bearings to get underneath them still, but it's a squad that is still proven to be adaptable. Even if somebody's in a 1vx, there will always be a chance, no matter what the man count is, for them to bring a round back. They can exploit mistakes, they can push into a site and ensure they at least have an early advantage, then work from there. Even if it's something very, very small, they'll always have something in their back pocket that they can cook up, pocket strat or not. So I still have a lot of confidence in spite of that result from yesterday.
And you know what sucks about the whole XSET, I guess, mindset towards the whole Brazilian thing and how it's going to be so revolutionary here in North America? TSM, during that SI run, how many Brazilian teams they knock out?
Two or at least three.
A bunch.
Yeah.
So if you're coming in here with the Brazilian playstyle, I'm pretty sure TSM is quite ready for that. So
all right. I mean, yeah, the Grim Reapers for Brazilian teams at SI, but the thing is the question remains with XSET too is, how much of the Brazilian identity thing is kind of overblown, right? Because obviously the coach, the majority of the players are from Brazil.
It's not just where they're from, right? It's the coach said, I'm going to implement Brazilian stuff into this team, and I'm going to use it to dominate North America, and TSM is literally the antichrist of that.
It sounds like it might be difficult then to do that against a squad like TSM. But the question is, how do you make it happen? What is it about the way TSM plays that makes it so good into that style?
It's the bananas, 100%. It's that. There's a reason why Larch was putting that. There's a reason why the admin was putting the bananas right there. I'm waiting for Merc to get one. Because as soon as he does, it feels like it's a power-up every time. But if TSM, for their own part, don't really have a very discernible weakness, I think other than it being rather unexpected for Merc to come in, try frag IGLing. There we go.
Hear us or something? What is that?
I don't think so.
That's the shot that I was looking for.
What?
Yeah. Thanks, Jason.
No, that's not how you eat it. You have to peel it first. These pro gamers, they don't know. I
have
mean,
to.
I'm telling you.
There are some people who eat that thing just skin and all by itself.
The meme format from that is there's so much potential here. I hope someone.
Thank you for the thumbnail fodder. Polo. I really appreciate it.
Shaking the bananas. all I know about bananas is that if you get 100 of them in Donkey Kong Country, you get an extra life.
Is that really how many it takes to go?
Yeah, of course. They're the
someone
approximate of coins, basically. And
okay.
the platforming kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A bit different. I don't think they're going to be munching on any bananas before the match, but at least they're there, you know? At least they're there. Yeah.
It's like Kino when he had the Stitch mascot on OXG. Similar vibe. If TSM don't have bananas, they lose.
Well, let's take a look at some stats from Bolo. We saw the tweet earlier, you know, the do something Bolo, but you know, will he do more today? Obviously, those numbers aren't fantastic, but again, only one day. I feel like today's motto is only one day. We've been saying that a lot about a lot of these teams.
Right, so that particular day yesterday, maybe it won't be the case in a future matchup TSM OXG, but Bolo against Newers, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Newers was kind of just taking it to Bolo a little bit, and obviously it shows in his stats. Most of his opening deaths were Newers just kind of walking at him and killing him.
Yeah.
And I will say, to defend the stats a little bit, yeah, he had bad stats. Yeah, Newers is whatever. But he did have rounds where he forced OXG to go for kind of more improvised attacks. Maybe not go for all the control that they wanted to go to because they were concerned about clearing a Bolo on Vigil. So he's still a threat, even though his numbers, whatever. Like, he's still a threat that you can't see in the stat line there. So I expect that to be a factor for TSM today, especially against an XSET team that has struggled on attack so much. They may not be able to kill Bolo if their coordination ain't there.
Oh, are you? So here, let me have you make a little prediction then. Give me the Bolo death count for the map.
On roams?
On the map overall.
Overall, he'll have less than 8.
Less than 8. 8 seems like a kind of a high number.
Well, actually,
8 kind of implies that XSET is also going to get a couple rounds to make 8 possible.
That's why I want to like limit it to a side or to a scenario.
Oh.
If he's roaming, I feel like they might get him 1 or 2 times, out of the 6 rounds.
Okay, all right. Jacob, over under 8?
You know what? Yeah, I'll stick with like 6. I'll give it a little bit less than that. And I think the main reason for thinking that is, think about Chalet as a map. Think about kind of how it swung. Think about what just happened on the previous match to get us to this point. It's the fact that it's very, like, it still has an attacker lean, even if we're trying to get away from, like, oh, if you win this many rounds on one map, it means you're probably going to take the map overall. XSET having those IGL struggles means that hopefully they need some kind of boon a little bit on attack to increase said win percentage, and they're going to Chalet. They're starting on that side. That's like TSM defense first on an attacker favored map hopefully gives them at least a little bit of a boost, but I don't know if that'll really be enough. I think Bolo's about to be a menace.
Right, and you talked about how TSM loves to sit there. They actually start Counter-Strike. They love to sit there and dare you to try to clear it. They dare you to have the coordination necessary to clear it, and a lot of teams simply cannot do it, and then when you try to rat it out, TSM's ready for that. Their team's built for that. They're full of fraggers that kill things. So you have to have superior coordination. I don't know if XSET does.
All right, we'll find out. Let's talk a little bit about XSET as we watch them get ready for their match against TSM. And let's kind of keep that conversation going too, right? XSET, obviously the big question, the big storyline I think that we've been talking about a lot with this squad is the attacking side of things. Things look okay defense-wise, but attacking side, it just seems like things are a bit discombobulated, right? Somebody needs to take the reins, it seems, and sort of, guide these fiery young players into some attack wins.
I'm not saying it can't be Kino. In fact, a conversation I had with him back at the 6th Invitational did kind of heavily suggest if anyone does it, it'll probably be him, which I think for somebody who doesn't have a lot of current IGL experience, makes sense for someone who anchors or plays smoke or is usually responsible for breaching and then planting. I think when you're not in the thick of things trying to handle multiple things at once, for Kino, that honestly makes sense. It's more a case, though, where we're not on a one IGL system for the majority of teams, so somebody else is doing enough shot calling to justify having one player have that much responsibility. You're doing like captain / IGL stuff, pre-round strats, thinking of what kind of the next step is. You can't have Bodega do all of that behind the scenes, and I do think with enough time, Kino will be able to step into it, but maybe just like not for right now, because you already knew there were bumps to iron out in the midst of this. Having two very tough teams for your first week is great practice.
It's a good thing, honestly.
Yeah, no, so long as you don't allow your mental to tank even further and be like, oh, we lost to two teams. You lost to two fantastic teams. If for some reason you can't pull it out here, you have like a lot of really good things to look forward to, and this is fantastic to really figure out what your groove and your rhythm is heading into the rest of the stage.
It's definitely good weight training going into the easier part of their schedule, and you talked about how you, maybe not right now, Kino isn't going to be able to do, but week 4, week 5, by then, he might be able to do it, and XSET might be extra dangerous, and that might be where the points get collected for them, but I don't know. I don't know about it being today. I don't know if Kino just went to sleep last night and just woke up a better IGL and just dreamed it, and just, I don't know,
he puts on the thermite costume and looks in the mirror. He's like, you can do this. I believe in you.
I am the greatest IGL. And like, I guess Merc at this does Merc get the distinction of best IGL in the world because he's the world champ? Is that a hot take?
After yesterday, hard to say. Hard to say. Maybe we'll be able to say more about that a little bit later. But let's take a look at Spirit's stats. Talk about another player who's going to be a core component of the success of XSET. We got to talk about Spirit's cookies. Go ahead.
Okay, so Spirits, he kind of stunk yesterday.
That's true.
Listen,
the stats aren't great.
Spirits, I hyped him up. I was like, he's the next greatest thing after Newers. And then he got a double kill in the first round of Bank yesterday. I was like, holy cow, it's about to get real. I was right. And then guess what? He literally went like 0-7 after that. Went 2-7, got 2 more kills at the end of the game. And then that was it. It was very forgettable debut for Spirits. And a lot of it was SSG just kind of, SSG moment. But also, we're going into TSM today. I don't know if we'll be able to bounce back today. Do you, Jacob, or what? I don't know. I don't know what we're going to
maybe a bit. I think because we're focusing on a map that does rely so much on vertical control, if he continues to maintain Sledge, work on maps very quickly, like once they collectively get control, maybe whether he's a spearhead or not, they'll be able to work top down way more efficiently on a map that has so much that you can break open. I like the idea of putting him on a Sledge. Even though he excelled so much on Zof over the past couple of years, it's nice to see like not quite what Palu is doing, like playing a Sledge, but you're using it for the fragging potential, the nades. You're using an entire repertoire. Spirit to somebody who can take advantage of that and really give XSET the push they need towards the finish line. So let's see if it happens here. Again, if you don't beat TSM, no skin off your back, because at the very least you understand what works and what doesn't through this first week. So
yeah, fair enough. Well, as we get our last parting glimpse of XSET getting ready for the next series, it's time to move on to the predictions portion of this and find out what our casters, first of all, think about as far as who's going to win this one. Pengu, Jonah, have you given it some thought? Have you delved deeply into the strategic mind within and found out what the proper prediction is?
I think this one is a little bit more straightforward than some of the ones we've had leading up to this point, Doha. Okay. I think this one isn't too challenging, but hey, I think your prediction percentage is a little bit lower than mine right now, 25 to 62. How about I let you go first?
All right. So first of all, I escaped the pit that was 0%.
You did.
I got 2 in a row back to back, and we're gonna make it 3 for 3. TSM. Straight off the bat, we talk about XSET, attacking problems. We saw it very clearly against SSG on Bank. Chalet, it's not Bank, but it's quite similar in the sense that if you don't really know what you're doing on the attacking side, it's going to be quite difficult to actually get anything done at all. So I think TSM's gonna take it.
I agree with you. I think it's pretty straightforward, and I think TSM have a pretty massive chip on their shoulders after a loss yesterday. Obviously, they were getting outgunned by OXG, and that's not something they're used to. They're coming up against a young XSET team, and I think they do have the power to outgun them right back. I do think they'll take this one.
I got to say, Jonah, okay, two TSM predictions. I got to say, though, I mean, you're here, for a little bit. You're filling in, helping us out here, but throwing your co-caster under the bus like that.
I got to do it as much as I can.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Keep doing it, man. That's funny.
That's a dangerous game you're playing over there. You're sitting like 2 feet away from him.
I've got the most accomplished pro player in Siege history to my side. If I am better than him at something, I will take that as much as I can.
And I respect that. I fully do.
Nice
you gotta
recovery.
take adventure you can. honestly.
Nice recovery. All right, there you go. Now that order and balance has been restored, let's send it over to our analysts and get your take on it. What do you think? TSM, or you think XSET has a chance?
I can't justifiably give XSET an edge over TSM, especially on a map that TSM historically is always great at. Nothing against Bodega or the way that he might counter-strat something like this, but TSM should have this one in the bag. So, yeah, that's it. Keep it simple.
TSM for Jacob. Cookies.
This is a tune-up game for TSM.
It is.
At this point.
All right. There you go.
I like the XSET guys are cool guys. Like I said, they're invited to the barbecue, but it's too early in the season for them to beat TSM at this point. Maybe week 6 if this game had been rescheduled or something. Maybe. Not right now.
I like how you said that. It's too early in the season. So it's, because there is some skill there, but we'll see how much of it gets brought out against a team like TSM. Well, you know what time it is. Obviously, it's time for the coin. The coin's been doing well today, by the way. Pretty sure it's 3-0.
62% on a coin.
It's getting up there, right? I mean, yeah, it's
a little ridiculous.
Us for the past 2 games, and also was the only one to pick PB, so it's
I know
lose.
I know, and it's another chance here. If it does go with XSET, again, of course, heads is going to be TSM because they are first on the graphic, and then tails will be XSET. So it's time to flip it. It's heads. Heads it is. It says TSM.
Man, I want to beat the coin. When's
Why?
that gonna happen?
It's a hard metal. You might end up hurting yourself. It's pretty chunky. But
Not that version of beat, but I appreciate the. Yeah.
Oh, there. Okay. I don't know. I assume physical violence from Jacob. Now you guys should see it backstage. It's
What?
scary. Is it? No, I'm just kidding.
What?
I'm just kidding. Let's move on to the community
Not
poll.
that mean.
Okay. Community poll. There it is. The community poll is who writes it?
What?
Who is the cutest coach?
Boo Boo.
Hojo or Boo Boo?
Who's Boo Boo?
Is
Hojo or Boo Boo?
Is that just the alternative spelling for Bodega? It has to be.
It has to be.
Okay, you're also making me, forcing me into a position where I might have to root against Pojo, man, and I can't do that. I can't root against Pojo.
All right. Well, there you go. Hit us up on the social medias, on the Twitters, on the Instagrams. Let us know what you think. I can't wait to see the result, I guess.
I can.
Boo Boo.
Boo Boo. I don't know.
That is amazing. That name is cute. Let's go with that.
That's going to stick around. That's not going anywhere. But we're going somewhere. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get things underway with TSM versus XSET. It's going to be a sick map. Don't miss it right here in just a few minutes on the R6NAL.
That's up against a big 2K. I spoke about that flow, make it a 3.
3 versus 1 and another for Mercs.
One gets the second, gets the third as well. Time! Chalet! He gets it done! The close angle, the Bolo wins! Oh!
And Chief finishes it off.
What are these individual heroics that we're seeing? Bolo, and he's got 2 of them falling short, and they'll do so again. TSM said, trust the process. The process just won you a world championship.
I didn't even know we won. I just went for the fist bump side to side, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, why are you guys screaming? And it's like, oh, we won. And I was like, oh, we won. Let's go.
It's a big moment. I don't think I'll ever be able to replay that emotions that I was feeling.
For 5 minutes, it was just relief. It was oh my God, we finally did it.
It was a long day. It was a long tournament. It was a long journey there, and we'd finally finished it, and it was just amazing.
Everyone's just screaming, and I'm just like, oh. I still was ready for a couple more rounds.
The experience you get from playing in SI is really fun. We were just there to have fun.
We didn't have the best stages in the year leading up. We usually get our SI just handed to us. But this year, we were the second to last team to make it through.
I actually think these 2 losses really helped us win the tournament.
Losing made us probably win the event. It's kind of like a wake-up call, a little humbling.
This last year is a bunch of unfortunate situations. We're getting COVID, Gio's visa issues. We basically had a lot of obstacles to overcome.
We were kind of just underdogs. No one really expected us to win.
We spent a long time getting ready for the SI qual.
We all knew that with this team, we could win. We're the best contender for any region.
People know that, we're a powerhouse. The only thing that was left was a nice title in pro play, and we got it.
I told my mom and my dad, and they were like, we're really happy for you, because they're really supportive even though they don't really understand.
I actually FaceTimed my mom and my dad, and they just congratulated me, and yeah, they were just proud of me, and that was a nice moment. I got a little bit emotional on stage. My mom and my brother calling me, and I was on stage, a little bit broken up still, but...
We all have the same goal, is just to win it again. We're just gonna work as hard as we did to win it the first time.
The goal is definitely to, keep it up and kind of be in contention for an actual dynasty.
TSM XSET, our penultimate game of the day and of the week, and it should be a pretty interesting one. Not because necessarily these teams are the most evenly matched, Nick, but they both had similar struggles yesterday in terms of gunpowder.
That they did. It kind of seems like, not just for these two teams, but in general, day one was a hit and miss when it came to opening kills and getting into the map, where a lot of teams kind of got stuck. And, well, we didn't really expect OXG to look as hot as they did, but now that we've seen them play twice, it's no wonder TSM lost to them, because they look so good, and now it's TSM's turn to kind of shine and show that they are indeed not as weak as they looked on day one.
Right, we didn't even see Bolo show up much. Merc, who's usually leading in terms of frags as well, right alongside Bolo, also had some struggles. And on the XSET side of things, the fragging power that Spirits is supposed to bring to this roster coming in from Parabellum, you've got Gomez also supposed to be this core fragger, did not show up in much of a capacity at all. It is essentially a little bit of a reset for both of these teams, but I think Cookies explained this one pretty well when he said this one really matters for TSM. They really need to just get back on that horse, remind themselves what it feels like to play like a world championship caliber team, because that they are. They just won that 6 Invitational. They're coming into the NAL with high expectations, and maybe that's what got a little bit of the best of them in that first game.
And not just expectations, but even in the intro video we just saw, like, they speak highly of themselves where, yes, winning IMAP was great, but their goal is to win it again or go to that grand finals and try and build a dynasty around, you know, the brand of TSM in Rainbow Six Siege. And starting 0-2 would not be the right way to go about that, so they obviously do not want to go there if you're TSM. And XSET, you know, when you're building a new roster from scratch, it's one of those situations where, as Cookie said, we don't expect XSET to do well yet, but in 4 weeks' time, in a couple of play days, you know, down the line, that's the question mark of how good will they actually be with some experience.
And even if they don't win this game in front of them right now, like we've said, it is a tough opponent on a map that they are very comfortable on. Every single week for XSET, they're just trying to get a feel for this roster and mesh, get that communication going, because as the players and coach talked about, you know, on Twitter after the loss yesterday, there were some mental issues, some communication issues, and things were just not up to par, up to the level that they even have come to expect of themselves over the last few weeks. But for them, it really is just that story arc of, can they continue to improve? They're a very fresh team, bringing in so many new components, literally a reset button in terms of this XSET roster. This is just, we want to see them improve. We want to see this roster mesh as these weeks continue. Yeah, it's a tough opponent to do that against, but still, it's a good opponent to continue to try to work out those kinks.
I mean, you can make an argument that okay, what if you play against the weakest teams first, right? You work away from the bottom to top. What if you start against the best teams first? SSG, TSM, and like OXG, right? You can argue that you'll learn a lot more faster, especially you learn a lot more from losing than winning typically. And, you know, really getting down the ground also humble you up a bit. You know, we always saw the off-season drama between whether it's Bodega as a coach speaking up like, we're going to trash all the other teams, we're going to be the best in North America, right? And then you lose a game or two in the beginning, it's like, okay, guys, we gotta actually get up on the horse and get back into it, you know, practice, keep at it, and maybe we'll deserve that top spot down the line. And for XSET on day one, in the very first game, it was Kino of all players, the quote-unquote support player, that was the best performer statistically for XSET, which isn't concerning because Kino's a great player, but it's one of those situations where, well, if you're losing and your support player is doing the best, then the front line is kind of lackluster, and that kind of speaks to the issue for XSET, their attacks.
Right.
So for Chalet, I want to see them try and fix that area, if possible.
Right, I mean, Chalet is generally considered an attacker-favored map, at least slightly, and especially now that we've got attacker repick in the meta, that's always going to be a factor generally favoring the attacking team a little bit more than we saw previously. But yeah, just like XSET had those struggles, I mean, I'm looking at some Bolo stats right now. He went 5-9 overall on KD. He was 1-3 on the entry. That is not the stat line of a player like Bolo, and a stat line that we have come to expect from a player of his caliber in the NAL. Same thing goes for Achieved, also not tend to be an underperformer. He's usually rolling on that sledge, just frying people left and right. He also was 4-9. He did go positive on the entry by 1, but really that's not saying much when your team as a core is struggling with those very things. So like we said, both teams similar struggles on day one. And so coming into day two, they're not necessarily hoping for a dominant win in the case of XSET, but hoping to at least get that back on track. Get your fraggers fragging and entering, getting that entry kills, not so much those entry deaths, and getting your anchors, getting those, you know, support players like Kino still performing at that level.
Yeah, and you, if anything, you just want to look a little bit better than yesterday, right? And, you know, this could go two ways. It can be a swift 7-0 or 7-1 for one team, and then, you know, we'll have like a clear improvement from one side and another side that just like fell apart. Or we can be the first OT game so far off the stage one here at NAL and be like, okay, both teams have improved, they both learned, and now they're actually fighting, you know, tooth and claw, you know, every single round, trying to figure out like who can come out on top. And we'll see very shortly as we get into the game, but right now the players are getting ready. We see a strat boot actually being brought out from Geo himself. It actually has some column marks as well. I'm sure there's gonna be like some ABC strats. We see that pretty often at LAN events where, you know, players will bring like a strat book or piece of paper, and sometimes when we're lucky, you know, the camera will catch like a small glimpse of the paper. We're like, oh, that's interesting.
Wait, I know your strats. I can see it over
I
your
can see
shoulder.
it right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the map and those strats we're going to be bringing out, of course, we are going to Chalet, as has been decided. The third iteration we are seeing of Chalet today alone. So teams clearly favoring this map today. Yesterday we did see, you know, Bank as well. We've also seen that today. So we've got two maps kind of emerging as pretty popular battlegrounds. But it'll also be interesting to see how this map evolves with the meta, right? Because one major change between last year and this is the shift of that master and bedroom site almost completely out of the meta entirely. In our first iteration of Chalet between Sonics and Parabellum, we saw Wine and Snowmobile Garage as the most dominant site, bar and games, that secondary site, and occasionally saw Kitchen and Dining come out. But again, curious to see what both of these teams are going to want to bring out in front of them, because as the meta changes, which site works the best also changes too.
Yeah, and also just how you approach all the attacks itself, because we saw people doing some crazy direct attacks with like Lion and Glass from both Sonics and Parabellum. We just saw OXG play it, and they're doing this kind of, I call it like the rat playstyle, where like you'll go in the basement, you'll creep around, you'll try and find opening picks, but we've seen different teams play a very different pace, and then the question comes, well, in this particular matchup between TSM and XSET, will we see the strategical approach or the fragging kind of approach where you want to get in, you want to be aggressive, assert control, and set the tone for the match to come? Because when we saw XSET up against SSG, they were trying to play a fast-paced Rainbow Six Siege, but the SSG clutch factor simply just outskilled XSET. And even when you're 2v4 in favor of XSET, you can never count SSG out. And TSM in a similar fashion, they are known to be clutch when it matters. So XSET XSET. They gotta actually be able to, you know, take the bull by the horns and hold on when they get the advantage.
Well, I know everyone is eager to get into this game. So are we. We just received word that just an audio issue with one of the players, but that is going to be worked out hopefully in just a moment. We can see TSM for a moment ago. We just saw them working out some issues, some technical stuff going on right next to the nice bushel of bananas we see sitting there on that desk. I just love that visual. Bolo with those bananas ready to go. I'm sure he'll do some mouse twirls. Maybe he'll add in some banana twirls for us. Just grab the whole bunch and just start spinning it around. But no, we are hoping to get into this one in just a moment, and I think we will be doing that. But just a moment ago, you mentioned attacker pace, and that's something I want to go back to, because in our first game we casted, that was so unique, the way both teams tried to work with that pace, changing it up, getting really aggressive in some cases, and then going way slower and taking that pace down, trying to make sure that defensive team just could never get comfortable what exactly they would be expecting. So we could probably, I expect we'll see the same thing here, maybe not as many aggressive rushes as we saw from both the Sonics and Parabellum, but as we dive into the lobby here, hopefully these operator bans could maybe lean into that attacker aggressive playstyle, because who doesn't love to see a good rush now and then?
Yeah, we've seen more and more specific, you know, target bans from teams. We've seen the Ying being banned out, the Lion being banned out. Of course, people still ban the Thatcher because that'll always be the case. So I'm curious to see if that trend will keep up or things will change. And there it is. Very first ban from TSM is going to be the Ying, affecting how XSET will approach the map. And of course, taking that away from TSM themselves, because they are also known to play this operator at times, especially with Merc on that entry IGL. Something you can get aggressive with. Maverick being followed up. That's the first Maverick ban that I can think of. I don't know if it was banned in the XSET game, or the OXT game earlier, but essentially Maverick is very commonly picked on Chalet because, you know, the mute jammers, the kite claws, etc. Mirror being removed as well. That's the black mirror windows. They're never fun to play against.
Yeah, these bans aren't entirely shocking given what we've seen the past few days, but I do like that Ying is something that all these teams have in mind, worried that on a map like Chalet, on a map like Border, where we've also seen that Ying ban, that they're worried attacking teams are going to start to get aggressive, use those Candelas, use those smokes to get into the building quickly. But like you said, those defensive bans, not a shocker whatsoever, the Mira and the Valkyrie. She has been, I'm not sure if we've seen more than 1 or 2 games so far the last 2 days where Valkyrie is actually up. It seems like everyone just wants to remove those black eye cameras, the additional intel they provide, and since so many maps, especially like the ones that have been reintroduced into the map pool or introduced for the first time, right? Think about Border, so much soft destruction is possible on that map, and those nitro cells can be terrifying as an attacker when you're working your way in the building. There's a black eye camera staring right at your position, and all of a sudden, boom, you're blown up.
It's true, and the thing is, even if Valkyrie is open, sometimes it can be hard to fit her in your operator lineup, but even more so on the attacking side, picking up the IQ, it just doesn't give you anything good besides the fact you can find the cameras, where most teams, they want the explosive economy, the projectiles, etc. And the attacker repick right now is already showing an interesting story, because Spirits is hovering a blitz with 5 seconds left, and it means that he might just stick it all the way through. Yeah, and he does. So we're seeing a blitz. First round on a kitchen attack from XSET, already kind of saying that they want to set the tone and the pace, and that pace is either going to be aggressive or fast or just very memey, if you will.
Right, Spirits is no stranger to this kind of playstyle, doing it quite regularly when he was on that Parabellum roster. They love to bring out that blitz for an Oregon basement rush. You would just run in through bunker, sprint into that basement site, and try to get that supply room plant down as soon as possible. So Spirits is familiar with that. I'm not sure if the rest of this XSET roster has done that very often, but at least he should be comfortable as they work their way to potentially, like you said, making an early aggressive push. I mean, Yaga is already at that office door on the balcony looking to get control of the top floor, which is going to be the central component of this round. In kitchen and dining, you've got to get control of master and office as soon as you can, but as Gomez tries to peek the window, he gets destroyed by Merc, who is trying to start off the day with some frags.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that Spirits and the Blitz actually spawn completely isolated and alone on the library side of things, with his 4 teammates going towards master bedroom and office balcony. And that's weird, because the Blitz normally will be with the front end of the push to kind of lead the charge, but instead it's Gomez who dies first, Spirits who dies second. It's so free for Merc right now. What is happening?
Not sure why Spirits was jumping in all alone. Yaga and Kino do get some kills back, and Diaz gets one of his own, but Merc did secure a triple kill moments prior. It does mean we are back in an even 2v2, essentially hitting the reset button on this round, as Yaga and Diaz do have a lot of utility to their name. You still have that breaching hammer, 2 grenades in Yaga's pocket. Diaz has those impacts on the Zofia. He's got more than enough bullets to do pretty much whatever he wants with. And on the defensive side, you only have those 2 toxic smokes remaining in order to make any sort of plant denial happen. They do still have to recover the diffuser on the attacking side, so that will be a slight hindrance, but they're actually not in too bad of a position right now.
No, they're not. And the ironic thing is actually Chalet has a spare bear trap in his pocket right now that will not be used this round. Achieve has 2 toxic canisters, but the one great thing for TSM in this round is that Achieve does not have the shotgun. He does have the FMG9 with the 1.5x scope. That gives TSM a bit more firepower to fight back in this 2v2, where typically a smoke only has that SMG11, so you're limited on long-range capability fighting, but in this case, that won't be a problem, so Chalet achieved on even ground with the opponents of Yogg and DS.
My one worry here is that both XSET attackers are very spread out right now. Technically, Yaga could support Diaz from above, but if Diaz pushes in by himself like we're seeing right now, if Achieved can catch him out, that's a 1v1 gunfight that's going to favor the defense every single time. Achieved goes for the pre-fire but cannot capitalize. It's actually Chalet who looks up above through the floor holes and takes care of Yaga. Diaz falls soon after on the site below, and TSM will claim the first round.
That was such a weird round, right? Because it started off with a lot of nothingness. You know, XSET are kind of figure out what's happening, and then Merc gets a triple kill. Spirits jumped in through the window completely alone and isolated, but the trade came back and forth, bringing that to a 2v2, which ended up kind of messy from XSET. As you said, they're isolated, they're alone. One person coming up the basement stairs to West Main, and Yogg up with Sledge on the vertical actually got killed off, leading that to the 1 versus 2. And it didn't seem like there was a very clear plan from XSET on what to do in that situation, and they didn't even isolate much with the verticality at all. So I feel like more could have been done, but again, it's early beginnings. It was the very first round, and TSM actually showing us that master pitch and bomb site that we haven't seen much of previously.
Yeah, interesting to see the different approach that teams are taking to this map as a whole. I mean, Sonics and Parabellum, both of those teams favored both the basement site and bar in games before either of the 2 sites that we've already seen just 2 rounds in. First it was kitchen and dining, now we're headed 1 floor up, directly above to master and office. Now the danger of this site on the defense comes down to really one really strong power position, and that is the master window rappel. A window that has the ability to cut the sites in half and prevent a lot of defensive rotation.
It is, and we actually see TSM kind of saying, you know what, that's a problem, so we're going to extend down below and have more control than just the bomb set itself. It's achieved right now in trophy/kitchen. You got Merc on the castle, can put up some barricades to limit the line of sight from the attackers, and you got Bolo all the way over in library, again, extending over and extending under, trying to keep as much map control as possible and setting up problems for XSET to deal with. And if I'm TSM right now, I'm liking this, because XSET's big question mark is their attacks, it is their leadership, and knowing how to peel apart these attacks, but easy pickings on Yogg on that office door. Punches it, shoots, kills the piano player of Chalet. That's the Yokai and the echoes off the board. Sure, he tossed them out before. They'll be in the ceiling somewhere, but they can no longer move and they can no longer be activated.
That's a core component of the plant denial removed, and if you look at that secondary TSM utility, you'll notice a lack of nitro cells. No C4s from below, so in terms of plant denial, they are considerably limited. Merc will pick up a kill, though, onto Gomez, continuing to shut down the fragging potential that Gomez can bring to this XSET roster, so TSM will get that kill back and they will be happier for it. We're back in a 4v4, and XSET now will be looking for an answer of their own. It's Yaga on the balcony rappel, looking to spot an angle over towards Merc, who might be in danger in a moment if he exposes his position, because right now he is caught in a little bit of a crossfire between Yaga and Spirits.
But he seems to read the situation well, because he's not moving a whole lot, and that's that cancel barricade, denying that big window master rappel angle. And you know when Merc is feeling good, he's gonna get these kills, 5 so far, but I believe Spirits jumps inside the bathroom window, looking to get aggressive.
Yeah, Yaga somehow dying on that angle, so a great shot from Merc nonetheless. But yeah, you've got Spirits in the mix, and TSM, until a moment ago, they had no idea. Bolo gets caught off guard and removed. Spirits now spots out a second, but he'll fall. Geo gets a nice kill there. Diaz does respond, so once again, it is a 2v2 in round number 2. Diaz will try to make something happen as he works his way into Master, downing Merc, leaving it all up to Achieved here. Once again, he's got the FMG9, taking down Diaz just barely, but getting it done. So Kino, with that diffuser in pocket outside the map, nowhere near his teammate, will have to make a move.
Kino, really questionable because not only is that a 1 versus 2, but also you have diffusers. That means you cannot play off that fact at all. And now you're left in a 1 versus 1, once again with a Chief, with that FMG, with a great weapon. And there it is, strikes through, swings the door, swings the rotate, gets the kill. And it's TSM making it look almost too easy against XSET, who's kind of falling apart at the moment.
These are those little mistakes, those communication issues from XSET that they themselves talked about on Twitter after the game yesterday that we saw blatantly apparent in their game yesterday. So those are the kind of things they need to work out as soon as they can, right? Why is Kino outside when you have a 2v1 on the bomb site? Why is he the one with the diffuser and he is nowhere in place to potentially get that down? Were they tunnel visioned on getting those frags? What are they trying to accomplish there? Because if you're trying to do these, I mean, I've said this a couple times now, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but taking those 1v1 gunfights against a defensive team that is already weaker, you're giving them that clutch opportunity. You're giving Achieve the clutch factor.
Yeah, so the thing is that Kino's actually on the Solarium Repel earlier, like right before DS rappel in the big window, master bedroom window, that allowed DS to get the opening kill, but then he used these X-Sky pellets on that master bedroom wall. There's a jammer, and Kino's like, you know what, I can't do much from this position. I'm gonna get off the rappel, run all the way to the balcony to office, and in the interim of that happening, Achieved walked up the Solarium stairs and flanked Diaz, isolated the 1v1, and brought it back to Kino being the last man standing. And well, you can argue that if Diaz, understands that Kino is far away, maybe play super passive, wait for the support to come to you, because if you lose your 1v1 gunfight that is so important, Kino is in a terrible position to actually win it out.
I guess taking a gamble there, and a gamble
Yeah,
that clearly
big gamble.
did not pay off. So as we head into round number 3, XSET is hoping to get that first attacking win on the board. Achieve, though,
This
on
window.
the Oryx, up above. I mean, that window, like you said, has been 2 opening picks for TSM in the very same spot. Merc will throw a good night in chat as he also gets another kill, slamming these XSET attackers before they even have a chance to approach the building and get inside.
Yeah, and I kind of like this from TSM because they're kind of just taking the aggression to XSET, saying, okay, you want to play aggressive and fast? We'll play fast and match it, but in fact, we'll win our gunfights more often than you will, and you'll get shut down. Now it's a 5v3, they play together, they're here to trade in case a gunfight breaks out. They understand they have the advantage, can fall back, isolate opponents, and then just chill, because look at this, they're all on site now. They don't need to take any more risks because they've already won the round.
Yeah, they have 2-man advantage. If they can sit back and play the trade game for the remainder of this round, it is in their pocket essentially for free. XSET now, they're the ones who have to take the big risks to pull this one back. Kino being alone right now, opening up this wine cellar door is a little bit of a risk, but he'll eventually be joined by Diaz, so that isn't too much of a worry. A wasted nitro cell from Merc will come up with nothing, but they still have one in the pocket of Geo, the Kaid. Looks like we're going to see an aggressive swing, though, coming out from TSM as somebody just going to round the corner, and Merc is going to try to go for the spray, but he gets hit by a stun as he does that, so he'll force to back off. As he tries to retreat, Diaz will spot him out, but he can't quite capitalize.
And this nade will clear out the mute jammer. They already cleared off the trench wall here. Now the breach is being opened up. That gives XSET something to work with, but they will need to find at least a kill or two. With Merc being injured right now, that could be the first one, but he's going to be deep on the bomb site itself, so I doubt he'll be taken out anytime soon. And of course, there's the opening that they need. Now what can they do with this?
Yeah, they've got the opening, but Merc has been recovered, so it's still a 4v3 favoring this defense. Diaz, though, is in the middle of the site, and he's going to start to frag out. Merc is finally finished off, but Bolo does get that trade, looking to play this long angle from Connector, holding back the onslaught from both Spirits and Kino, who are waiting to get something going. Spirits, in the meantime, has been distracted by Achieve up above and now gets slammed into the ground, as Achieved on the Oryx is roaming, and he is having a blast doing it. It is all up to Kino, alone trying to push this site, but he has to stare into 2 deployable shields looking right at his position. You've got Chalet sitting extremely patiently in that blue corner, refusing to pop up and take this gunfight.
Look at the discipline. This is beautiful. Like, this is a world championship team. You're on the shield, you could swing, but you got a Chief on the hatch above you, so you're just sitting here. You're waiting, you're laughing, and you're not even worried because you know the enemy's implanting. With 5 seconds left, that's when Chalet takes his swing, and even if you failed the gunfight, you get Achieved right above the dining hatch, ready to trade it out regardless. So really good discipline from TSM, looking a lot better than that against OXG on Theme Park yesterday.
Yeah, TSM with 3 in a row, and XSET, if I was them, I'd start thinking about when to take that tactical timeout. They talked about their mental issues, and 3 rounds in a row, 3 not super close rounds at that. That's not going to do great things for the mindset. There is no question about that, right? I mean, we see some dejected faces, and there it is, a smart timeout here after a flawless defensive split. But it is time for them to step back and regroup. I don't know who that central voice is right now on this roster. They did talk about not having a central voice of the IGL, and we could be seeing the consequences of that play out live in front of us.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great call with the tactical timer because I think this is the perfect opportunity and time to take it. And you know, this should be Bodega talking 90, if not 95% of this entire duration because he's been listening in and watching the previous 3 rounds. He should know what the issues are, what's going on, relay that to the team, kind of get them in shape, right? Wake up time, boys. We gotta bring some, some rounds on the board here because when we go to defense, that's when XSET are capable of winning rounds. But you cannot go 6-0 and then expect to go flawless on defense. You need some headway to make mistakes, allowing you to have failed opportunities. And right now, you don't really have that. You need each and every single round to matter so much because you are down 0-3. You're attacking Kitchen again. And last time, you didn't even really make it into the building. So what do you do this time? Go slower maybe? Because they've been going fast so far. It hasn't worked out. They've been losing every single opening pick basically. So maybe take a chill pill.
Maybe slow it down a little bit,
yeah.
Play a little bit more.
Go
of that
library side as 5 people, drone it in, make it nice and easy. Because, playing tight together means that when Merc swings you, if you have 2 guns against Merc, at the very worst, you trade 1 for 1. Whereas in previous rounds, you've been swinging Merc, Merc's been winning the gunfights, you're playing 5v4 or 4v5. That doesn't work out in your favor.
Well, I think your point holds some water too, because I think XSET may be making a little bit of that adjustment. Diaz changing from that Zofia to the Flores at the last minute, maybe a little bit more of that utility and slower focus coming in from them, but either way, they still will have a lot of work to do just in terms of that utility clear. You can see Bolo up above trying to shoot out a couple of drones as he falls back, and a good start and the first opening pick for XSET so far on this map. It is Bolo to fall as he rotated away. Great coverage from Spirits, who finds his 2nd kill on the day.
Yep. That's a great opening, and now again, we're playing it slow, right? A minute hasn't burned, we're not rushing to the building. This is a kitchen defense, so not master bedroom. So we've only taken chimney, we've only taken library, and now we're droning. Good job. Like, this is exactly the pace we need, right? Don't run into the angles of TSM. Figure out what the layout is, the landscape. Communicate. Okay, guys, how do we get into this room without dying instantaneously? Because TSM does have a very big roaming presence. Bathroom window rotation from the sledge to destroy those castle barricades is a great call from XSET as well. Nate can come out, Jock can hold down the rotation, allow Gomez and Spirits to work inside of office, and therefore get some map ground.
Well, the problem, the danger with that kind of pace is that you leave yourself exposed to flanks, and I think XSET have decided it's time to push in at least up above. Spirits throwing this nade, hoping that can clear out this top floor, and Master is now secured thanks to Merc, falling to a beautifully placed frag grenade. XSET now have a 2-man advantage for the first time on this map and are looking to further that, but achieved. He is up above, going for a little bit of a flank here, but he's missing his shots. No achieved, missing an opportunity, and now he's in a load of trouble. His position is known, and they probably know. Up above, XSET can see there is only 1 defensive player remaining on the bomb site. It could be a 5v1 on the site if they choose to push this, and achieved. Maybe he can get back in time with a quick rotation, but Chalet is in a load of danger. He'll look towards the Solarium stairs, knowing that eventually XSET are going to have to push down and go for an execute, but you talked about that slow pace, and XSET are showing us that.
Yeah, they are. They're actually keeping it. Even though they know there's only 1 person on the bomb site, they're still doing vertical play. They're still droning. They lock down the flanks. So now no Achieved is back on the bomb site. They have 30 seconds left. 2 toxic canisters remaining from the side of Achieved, which means they're actually in a good spot. But this vertical play is not going to work out for them because Chalet is starting to strike back.
Well, Spirits will take care of Achieved, though, and it is not looking so hot for Chalet as he is just mowed down by Spirits, who finds himself a quad kill on that round. And XSET put themselves on top for the first time.
Yep, that's the timeout magic right there. You talk about some things and you saw an instant shift in their gameplay, organized, structured, step by step, and even with a crazy advantage to the 5 versus 2, they didn't just, throw their head into the water. They were like, all right, guys, keep it cool, keep it, good pace. And sure, Achieved did flank. Well, it was kind of unsuccessfully. He didn't get the kill, but he got past the drone network from XSET, which is a slight mistake on their end. But nothing bad really came out of it. And once Achieved fired his shots, they slowed down, they droned out the situation, and they took their time. And they got rewarded for it. So now, I want to see XSET do it again and show that they understand that was a working formula, and it should probably be the way to go forward against TSM.
I was a little bit worried for a moment, given how slow they were when it was a 5v1 theoretically on the bomb site in that 5v2 situation. And in situations like that, often you do want to just force the issue if you have such a significant advantage and you could just play that trade. But I like what you're saying here. The patience did win out the day, only losing one body the entire time. Had a Chiefs flank gone a little bit better, had he been able to finish off that kill, it could be a different story here. But you're right. It was the patience from XSET. It was that utility focus, and they just, like you said, they took a chill pill. They sat back, they relaxed, and they let that round kind of come to them, in a sense. Of course, you do have to continue to move in as an attacking team, but the idea was there for XSET, and they're going to be looking to continue that once again here in round number 5. A top floor defense for TSM as they head back upstairs to Master and Office.
And I like the way you put it, because you point out that Diaz went from Sophia to the Flores, and that was actually the operator indication that their playstyle was going to change, because you know, Flores doesn't really support a very aggressive playstyle because you're going to be on your gadget. That is a drone, so you can't really have your gun out. But it really speaks into, you know, utility clear, player positions, and that's exactly what Bolo and TSM are trying to do right now. That drone went the wrong way because it went off the balcony downstairs, but we got more in the pockets. You know, Flores does have 4 Retaro drones, so he has got 3 more to go. Gomez gets another opening pick for the side of XSET, and that once again puts them in the lead for this round.
Yeah, so far 4 rounds in, every opening kill has resulted in a round win for the team who finds it, and if XSET can continue that theme here, I mean, well, yeah, they've got the opening pick and they'd be sitting pretty. Bolo, though, wants to change this up. He is taking an aggressive position in library, or at least he was. He still is here, trying to avoid these drones and potentially looking to drop down this hatch, but he is in a load of danger. Now at 1 HP and taking this aggressive fight. He's got spirits coming from behind. He's got attackers on all sides of him, but Gio, perfectly timed, comes in for that support, knowing that there's going to try to be a little bit of a flank on Bolo, so at least he's able to get 1 kill, but Bolo, he was just in that position to die and hope that his teammate could play off of him.
Yeah, and they did, right? Gio got that 1 kill, and then XSET played nicely around it. 2 people jumped in, one from small library window, one from big library window. So at the very, very worst there, XSET guaranteed the 1-for-1 trade, but they got the perfect outcome. They actually got a 2-for-1 trade overall, which keeps them in the lead. Finga got taken down. She actually had already used both of her grenades. Yogg used both as well, leaving 1 grenade left on Gomez. So it's not the biggest loss from the side of XSET. You know, Spirits also already got the 5 kills. It's time to share that with the rest of the team. And Gio on this castle barricade could get freaky, but right now just holding tight, holding the angle down, because we know that last time around, you know, XSET came for a late rotation to break them. They will do just that with the Hibana. That is way safer this time.
Yeah, so Gio looks like he wants to get a bit aggressive once this opens up. He'll hold this angle, and Diaz, suspicious there may be someone around the other side, is reluctant to peek this. But Yaga, who's pushing in the site, selects 1, now 2, his own triple kill, and Diaz will finish it off as he, you know, baited a little bit of a run out there from the window or something like that. But another great round for XSET. It is opening kills equals rounds wins. That is so far the theme for Chalet.
It is. I don't think it's very often that we see somebody jump out of a window to get flashbang. Normally the flashbang is the one to go in through the window, but as you said, that's a kind of a bait, right? Flores shot some shots, ran away, turned around through the flashbang, kept running, and then when a Chief jumped out, it was nothing but a flashbang and a white screen, which left him extremely vulnerable in that situation. And TSM now actually finding some struggles against the pace change from XSET. The slower style really is working for them, but more so than that, as you mentioned, the opening kill going to one side usually sways the numbers in their favor. And it's actually been Merc, I believe, like 3 rounds in a row, or 3 out of 4 rounds at least, who's been the first person to die from TSM. And those 6 kills that Merc has, that was in the first 3 rounds from TSM's victories. And in the last 2 rounds, well, he's been the first to die and getting 0 kills for that. So the change up here, obviously showing its mark, and without the Merc factor right now, TSM doesn't have like an early way into these rounds.
Well, TSM are hoping to stop the bleeding a little bit and recover this half. I mean, they'd love, honestly, a 4-2 defensive half is a great place to be. It is a great place. And XSET would certainly love to tie things up at 3-3. XSET themselves were in a bit of a similar position yesterday. They were the ones who got up to that 3-0 lead to kick things off before eventually not even securing a single round after that, getting absolutely creamed in terms of a 7-0 run by their opponents. But TSM right now are the ones in that kind of similar position, and they'll be looking to stop that bleeding by hopefully leaning in to that slower-paced game. We see Bolo bringing out those Wamine Magnets. You combine that with even the goo mines of Merc. He's been rocking the Legion pretty consistently, hoping to get a better idea of XSET's positions as they work their way into the building.
Yeah, and as you said, like a 3-3 split here or a 4-2 split for TSM's favor is great considering that you're on Chalet defense. It is an attacker-sided map typically, but we also say XS's attacking side is arguably their weaker side, so this could just be one of those evened out situations where, sure, TSMs get the statistically better side advantage of attack soon, but we also see XS's defenses, which is their stronger suit. Bolo juking nades left and right, don't at his feet, no more magnets left right now, but one will be in his pocket very soon. As you see that gadget timer ticking up in just 2 seconds. There it is. Toss it out. Safe and sound once again. And both nades from Spirits and Yogg has been used and burnt, which means Gomez's 2 grenades are the only ones remaining. And Diaz has yet to use a single drone to help force out the position from Bolo, which means no opening kill has happened so far. We're halfway through the round.
Yeah, Bolo may not be collecting frags, but in this round, he is doing his job as good as he could ever in terms of that utility waste and that time delay. XSET are now getting a little bit flustered, so Kino's going to just decide to push himself into this sandwich window, but Achieved is waiting for him on that angle. Mistake number 1 from XSET coming out here in round number 6. Chalet gets another. Gomez overexposing himself, and it looks like XSET are falling apart, falling to pieces now as Spirits is gone as well thanks to Geo. Yaga does get one back, trying to continue his kill streak from that last round. Bolo is finally removed, but with only 50 seconds left. Just 2 of these players have to figure out a way to fell 4 of these TSM defenders, work their way to that bottom floor, and try to get something going.
Yeah, and TSM has read the situation as, we know what, we played too aggressive, we gave them the opening pick, and clearly they got too much control with that. They were just sitting ducks, but Bolo, as you mentioned, specifically did such a remarkable job burning so much utility while also staying alive.
And the beauty of it all is that that wasn't even a bar in games defense.
No.
That's the thing. XSET may have been pranked in a little bit. I mean, it's over here on the top, or rather in kitchen and dining, but master and office is where those last 2 gunfights will occur, with Merc just cleaning it up with the pistol. I mean, putting on a show in the end. TSM, they did indeed stop the bleeding. That was a dominant round, to say the least, having 4 defenders still alive in the end, so they will complete that 4-2 defensive half here on Chalet.
And that's going to be looking very good if you're a TSM fan. And you get pew, pew, pew. That's the pistol right there. I typically, when I see a pistol whip in CTA, I'm always thinking there's no way this will work out because pistols are, you don't have a scope on most of them, so it's so hard to see where you're shooting at. But in that specific situation, Yogg was literally 1 HP, and Merc had information where he was coming from, so very easy doing for him. And XSET, they're going to keep up this fashion of, we like basement defense, which most teams in North America so far has been preferring as well. It's where you play the Kaid, sometimes you can play the Mute on top of that as well. Deny those walls, deny the breaches, and then you got to look at TSM's attacker repick right now as they figure out where the bomb site is. So far, Merc's been showing the Sophia into the Nomad. That's going to help you take the map control, air jet, the flanks, etc., and make sure that no one is coming from behind. And that's, XSET's aggression is what TSM is expecting, and the Nomad plays very nicely into that, trying to control them more. So I like this attacker repick from Merc, but that's the only thing they'll do because the rest of the lineup will stick to their guns. It's the Sledge, it's the Nomad attacker repick, it's the Finger, the Ace, and the Hibana. So 2 Heart Breachers in case one of them dies.
Well, I do love the decision of the Nomad, especially on a site like this. When you're attacking the basement, there generally is more of a roam presence, more flanks to worry about, and if you do end up pushing from that wine cellar side of things, you always got to worry about that west main flank or potentially a drop down in that garage, the big garage hatch coming in from Trophy, all sorts of concerns that those air jabs can easily alleviate. Speaking of, you've got Spirits on a roam on that top floor. He isn't going nuts, but he's got 5 kills right now, going even and looking to continue that on the defensive side, on the prowl up above, and now eventually dropping down below to join his team, leaving Gomez up there alone.
Yeah, I think it made sense because, TSM had focused on the library side of things, and that's, where Spirits was all alone himself. So he went back to the bomb side while Gomez keeps the aggression up on Master side of things. And now, actually, Spirits up the West Main stairs has found himself into kitchen in close proximity to support Gomez if he so needs to. But the only thing is, there's no C4 on the roam game. It's going to be impacts from the side of Spirits, and a shield from Gomez has already been put down, so they can't really help each other necessarily unless Spirits comes up above, which he has.
I mean, Spirits is sprinting all over this map. He is already back upstairs after starting upstairs, going down below, and now he is back in the action. And TSM, they've passed by him just a little bit, and they could be in danger unless Merc has some good coverage. I'm sure they've got some flank drones set up and some air jabs in position, but Spirits and Gomez look to be playing for that late game flank, because now TSM, they are tunnel visioned on the site below. The vertical play from Achieved has begun. You've got Bolo working his way around down by those blue stairs, potentially looking to pressure that blue hall down below by Garage and get some frags on the board.
Yeah, there's going to be a frontal attack from the side of TSM, of course. The vertical, the hatch here being breached open, doing the trick with the Hibana where you can put them on the soft floorboards next to the hatch to either get the claw vertically or just destroy the hatch without actually being directly on it. It works beautifully. Hatch is now open. Damage has been done. Verk comes out, and while they don't really have full map control, this could get dicey if XSET finds an opening, which Spirits and Gomez are still looking for.
They're hunting for these kills, and it's going to be more than just a distraction. It is going to work. There goes Merc, taking off the board first. Opening pick for XSET, and Bolo has to find a way to respond. He will, taking down Kino before quickly getting traded back by Yaga. A 3v4. TSM on the back foot once again, with Geo trying to find an answer down below. Achieved, spots the rotation of Gomez, though, quickly neutralizes, but down below, Spirits and Diaz clean up the rest of his team. Achieved is the last player standing. He knows that there's probably somebody up above trying to get aggressive on him. It's Spirits dancing around the corner, and he'll end up winning that fight with the pistol. Well played from him. XSET making it happen to kick off defense.
Spirits is a little like racing machine, right? Because he was top floor, basement, west main, kitchen, top floor again, down to first floor, went to basement stairs, first floor, and even gets the final kill of the round as well as the first. So Spirits, absolutely ridiculous showcasing of a roam presence in that round, really punishing TSM's, I don't want to say lack of respect for the roam game, but they tried to simplify their attack, right? They had Merc on the Nomad, they had all 3 air jabs put down, they had flank drones, but they didn't have full map coverage or map presence, and normally when you're a defender, you'll feel kind of scared, you'll feel kind of afraid when all that's going on, but Spirits clearly wasn't afraid even a tiny bit, because when you're moving as much as he was, that's confidence speaking.
Well, XSET have done a great job of continuing our opening pick theme. We don't usually get to say this 7 rounds in, but the opening kill has won the round every single time. We are 7 for 7 with that theme, and well, we'll see if that continues. I mean, Chalet is an aggressive map after all, and it generally lends itself to that kind of strategy. TSM hoping to break that loop, or continuing that themselves by themselves finding that opening kill. So we'll kick things off in round number 8, which appears to be a bar and games defense for XSET. We've got a pretty similar lineup for TSM, but they will be bringing out the Thatcher for the first time.
That is true in Thatcher, something that we typically see being banned, but this time is opened up, and of course, if it's open at your disposal, there's no reason not to use it. And it will be Merc who's doing the flexibility play from the side of TSM, first the Nomad, now the Thatcher, and also kind of making sense because Merc has been the IGL since, since Invitationals essentially, right? Because in Stage 3, they were still going through those role changes, and we've seen Merc play a ton of different operators in both defense and attack, really showing the flexibility of his character and as a player while still doing IGL duties and putting up great numbers, currently being the top fragger for his team as well with 8 and 6 kills. Or 8 kills and 6 deaths, rather.
Well, Gomez is one of those players looking to add to his kill tally. He's supposed to be this fragging monster that is going to add to this XSET roster. He hasn't quite made his impact felt as much here on Chalet, so he's looking to spice that up by playing up top, trying to be that core component that slows down TSM. But as I say that, unfortunately cursing the poor fellow, and he will go down right away, thanks to Merc. Bolo continues that. Goodbye, Spirits. Now he knows there's somebody sneaking up from behind. He'll whip around and take down Yaga without much trouble at all. Just in 90 seconds since this round has begun, Kino and Diaz are all that remains of this defensive side.
It's like Bolo getting 3 kills with like 15 bullets as well. That round just, doing tons of damage. Nate comes out on Diaz. Doesn't do that much damage himself. C4 picks tossed back, but no damage at all. 2 versus 5 with Bolo low on HP, but with that one Adrenal Surge, it gets used. Now, looking pretty healthy for TSM, and well, XSET, you gotta get at least 1 kill, but there it is. Kino opens it up. It has to be the SMG-11 duo on these SAS operators to try and clutch it out.
Yeah, Kino gets the first, and it is not quite over for XSET, but as I say that again, Merc will shut me up pretty quickly. He'll take down Kino. Bolo finishes off Diaz, getting a triple kill of his own in that round, and finally starting to heat up, which is good to see.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bolo's had a bit of a slow start, both, on Theme Park previously, where Newers was the person to shut down Bolo on that entry, and I believe Bolo was 1-5 until this round, where he got 3 or 4 kills, and now he's actually, on the board, having a presence. making good work of the entry as well. TSM taking full map control this time, taking the gunfights to XSET instead of doing that half and half map control situation, and it worked a lot better for them. And I think the story in this matchup so far is pretty much that both teams are feeling out each other. Speaking of feelings, who is the cutest coach? Pojo or Boo Boo, I believe it's.
I love Boo Boo. I don't know why.
I'm not sure where it's from.
Because
it's Bodega.
Right, it's Bodega. Apparently, in the LATAM region, that is what they call Bodega. So
Boo Boo.
That's good to know. Call him Boo Boo. But it looks like Pojo won this poll tremendously here. 87% to 13%. So much so, the 80% overlapping there with the TSM logo. He's just that cute, apparently. So love Pojo for that. Congratulations to him for winning the hearts of the community, it seems. And right now, TSM winning over XSET as well, not just in terms of community polls, but on the scoreboard, they still hold this 2-round lead. On the attacking side as well, TSM have started to heat up a little bit. Right now, it's just 1-1 since we've switched sides. They'll be looking to continue that here as XSET head upstairs to master an office.
Yeah, and speaking about Merc's flexibility as a player, he's now on the Nuke, the Danish stealth operator that tries to get and sneak into the to the map of the bomb site itself, and it's something that we've seen being banned quite a bit in the NL so far, and also played a fair bit on top of that too. And it's one of those operators that kind of strikes fear into the mental of your opponents, and when operators or players like Spirits are running on the map so much, well, when Nuke is on the board, you kind of have to fear every single area. You see here Merc on that fireplace double door, could just walk in at any moment, and of course XSET will have no idea that it's happening until they get shot from behind. So keep an eye on Merc, see if he can do some damage because he's looking for enemies to isolate.
Yeah, with XSET, they do have a pretty solid web of control around this map. But as I say that again, TSM are killing me here. Merc will shut him down. Gomez gets one back and takes down Bolo, neutralizing that quick advantage. But Merc steps up to shut down Spirits. Both of these players only slightly extended from the bomb site. Spirits, who is over on those Solarium stairs until just a moment ago, will be the second to fall. So TSM in a 4v3. Diaz also extended, positioned here on the Fireplace Hall staircase, hoping to spot out just a straggler on this TSM attack. But for the most part, it looks like TSM have grouped up and they've got one sole focus, pushing this bomb site.
Yeah, it is a master bedroom bomb site, and it seems to be a Solarium take. That's where the full focus and most of the focus from TSM will be. Curious to see if Merc will flank late in the round, because look at the clock. 1 minute and 13 seconds left still on this round. Nade's Red now being used by both Merc and Achieved, trying to do some damage. I would say maybe saving one could be smart, but Achieved says, you know what, I believe this Nade will hit the mark next time. And as I say that, he says, you know what, no it won't. Breach will go out. Merc has joined his teammates up on the Solarium side, and with this Hibana Breach, he can walk on in and try and get something to happen, but Kino, nice swing, takes out Merc, evens back the score, 3 versus 3.
Yeah, good shot there from Kino, but a beautiful nade to follow it up from Achieved. He's looking to put this round away as soon as he can with 40 seconds remaining. You've got a player still on that master window, and the other two attackers working their way in from that Solarium side. Both Gomez and Diaz have to really split their attention here because of these multi-angled attackers that TSM are approaching from. Diaz gets taken down, but gets the trade. Good shot with him in the SMG-11, but that is leaving a low HP Gomez alone, and the bomb is now being planted. Gomez just doesn't know where to look, didn't know which of the 100 different angles he should be peeking on that master window. We talked about how powerful that position can be for the attackers. Looks like TSM leveraged that to their advantage perfectly.
Yeah, now 1v2, having, Geo inside the master bedroom bomb side from the Solarium breach, able to plant down the diffuser while the last players on that big window repel. It really is one of those quote-unquote ideal or perfect situations because it is such a strong position to be on that repel. And then, once Geo gets down the diffuser, he can then get active as well, hold the post plant and secure that round. And XSET now struggling a bit to kind of find their stride. And it's honestly Merc doing so much of that early round damage towards XSET with the Nuke. And he's going to stick it so far for this third round in a row, or second round in a row, should I say. And Merc had a bit of a sleeper game yesterday against OXG.
Yeah, 8 and 10. That's it overall. He was only 1-1 on the entry. Not the usual stats we expect from a player of his caliber, but you look at the scoreboard now, and you got to say he is certainly heating up.
that he is, and he's been doing it on Castle, on Lee Sin, on Nurk, and then showing Iana, but actually going back to the Thatcher, and that's usually an indication that, you know, like TSM now know it's a basement attack. They want to have the Thatcher open, make their lives easier, breach open these walls, gain control, and hopefully this time they will, you know, either go for a direct attack, which means they don't have to care about the roam at all, or they will respect the roam from XSET, which they did not do the last time, and that's kind of why they fell apart.
Well, match point, XSET need to find 3 rounds in a row. Again, the structure we have here in the NAL, you get to overtime and you get at least 1 point, but if you finish in regulation, 3 points for the team to complete that victory, and that's what TSM are looking to do. The Selma charge will go off and open up just a sliver of that wall on the snowmobile garage, getting an eye on Diaz's position, but look how far these XSET defenders are extended all over this map.
Yeah, just like the previous time around, they want to get active, but you see very clearly with Jog clearing out every single angle ADS. He does not know what the danger is, and Bolo shows why you should care about every single corner, because Bolo strikes from behind. Now this nade on the vertical holes will not do any damage, there's nobody there, but just in case there would be, damage would have been done. And that's Bolo once again on this finger, getting active, 6 and 7 right now, so his name and Achieve doing lethal damage with those explosive utility, usually from below.
Yeah, TSM seem to be tired of this map already. They want to finish this one here in a 7-3 fashion. XSET really hoping to get one more round than their game yesterday, maybe more possible now that Diaz has taken down Merc, silencing the man of the hour, but looks like a trade will quickly be found by Bolo. Some coverage trying to be provided there by Kino, but he is felled immediately. All up the spirits, and there he goes. Achieve will clean him up, and TSM will clean up XSET in a pretty decisive 7-3 fashion here on Chalet, bouncing back from yesterday's loss, and maybe not fully there yet, but looking more like the world champions we know they are.
Did you see Merc type GG in chat in like the 1v4 before the round was over? He was like, you know what, I'm gonna send ship and seal this deal right here. And you know, Merc likes to talk inside the server, and I think against an emotional and inexperienced team like XSET, it could actually play a pretty big factor against their mental. You know, you saw Merc early on typing GN, you know, good night in chat, and then typing GG before the game is actually over. And I hope for XSET's side that, you know, they can keep their mental in check, because as you pointed out and at the desk spoke about, both Kino and Bodega, the coach of XSET, made some tweets saying against their SSG opponents, they were like, you know, mental wasn't that good, maybe a little bit of tilting, gotta fix it, gotta work on the future long term. And I think that is, you know, eyes is on the future for XSET. You know, what can they do in a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now? Whereas, I mean, TSM, they're the goddamn world champions. They're gonna show up right now, right here, and they did.
Yeah, and XSET, I think you said it perfectly earlier, Nick, when you mentioned that, you know what, this is the trouble of facing these beast of teams early on in the season. It can be incredibly demoralizing. You know, right now you got a team like DZ, who's playing Mirage and Beast Coast back-to-back, whereas a team like XSET, it's SSG, it's TSM.
Yep.
Very different in terms of strength of schedule, and like has been mentioned on Twitter after the last match, you've got to now worry about the mental of your players, recovering that, figuring out a way to talk it over. Fresh team, figuring out a way to talk it over, work on your strats, figure out what you can do better for next time.
Absolutely. And guys, we got some good stuff coming. We had a great map between, you know, TSM and XSET, and we got interviews after each and every single match. And Jonah, tell me who we're interviewing.
Personally, I don't know who we're
You don't know?
interviewing. I think we're talking to Achieved, actually.
Yes, there
Achieved?
it is. It's
okay.
It's the man that happens to have made a bet with the devil, if you will, where he said if he wins the 6 invitationals, he will shave his head, which means...
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, and he did actually do it. So I think he shaved the beard and the hair, and you know, it was growing back quite fast. But the point is, he's kind of like reborn, if you will, and Achieved. He had a slow start yesterday, a much better showing today from him and TSM overall. And just keep an eye out if he has a beanie on, if he's actually showing his lack of hair, if you will, because that is why he shaved his head, because he did win that hammer.
Yeah, well, I think overall the big story today, at least for us coming into this game, was can TSM bring back the firepower? We know that they have. XSET, of course, they also were looking to bring back that firepower. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do so against the world champions, but Merc stepped up in a big way. Bolo did have a little bit of a better performance, like you said. Achieved was also putting up some better numbers, and overall, this did feel like the TSM of old.
I agree, and it's typically the holy trio of TSM, the Achieved, Bolo, and Merc Factor, and if they're doing good, then Geo and Chalet can sit back and, have a pretty mediocre scoreboard, but still have a massive amount of impact with the droning, supportive network, help of leadership, and just, if the front line is doing good, the back line can relax and just the system.
All right, well, we're going to head over to a quick break before when we come back. Of course, we will have our analyst desk to break this one down and break down some of the cool plays that we had on this map. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Something out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me a notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you.
Don't give up on me, yeah.
We are back here at the Rainbow Six North American League. Doa here along with Jacob and Cookies. That's right, my two analysts. And we're here to break down what we just saw. TSM getting the win that they searched for yesterday. Weren't able to quite come up with it. But today, redemption. We have none other than Achieved standing by in Vegas with us. Can you hear me, man?
Hello, I can hear you.
All right, great. I see your head is warming up a little bit now that the hair has started to grow, and the team is warming up too. It's great news. You got the win today. And so I got to ask you, obviously, SI champions, there's a good amount of pressure that comes along with that, right? The expectations are higher than they maybe were in the past. As a team, how did you kind of deal with that coming into the season and then kind of having to deal with a loss in your first game?
Yeah, so I mean, there definitely is like more pressure, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've always had some pressure, but or like like a decent amount going into seasons and stuff. But people still at the end of the day will always like underestimate us. I feel like so. I mean, yeah, but I mean, going into the our first loss, it definitely sucked and is not what we were looking for. But like I know myself, like I didn't really play too well. I just know that every NAL stage, our the weakest part of our team when it comes to the NAL is just making sure we bring the energy, because it's just one BO1. Like if you don't bring the energy and if you don't like start off like energetic and stuff, like there's no like second or third map that you can recover. So we just got to make sure we show up and bring the energy.
Give me a little bit of an explanation from your perspective on the dichotomy between an Oxygen team that you've faced before, even if they have some new players, and XSET, who are completely revamping everything from scratch and haven't been able to put anything together until this stage. What do you have to focus on from a team versus a team you have no idea how they run?
Yeah, so obviously, like the I guess like the saying for the current XSET right now is they're a very like frag heavy team. They kind of they have Bottega as a coach, and so they're very identical to like a LATAM team. So obviously we're very used to dealing with that, and we just kind of treated them honestly the same way that we would treat like every other LATAM team basically. So I feel like that maybe helped us out a little bit. Well, we were just comfortable with it, I guess. And then in terms of like OXG and stuff, they're another NA team that's structured and kind of the complete opposite. So, but I just think that like we just got to bring the energy, and I think we could have won that game too if we just got to make sure we show up and bring the energy.
Okay, and well, Bolo. This I talked about it earlier in the pre-show with this before this matchup. I was talking about how maybe Bolo doesn't get enough credit. The key was like what 5-9 yesterday. Maybe that's not the best statistics, but Bolo obviously has like a presence. Would you say, is that something you can maybe elaborate on?
Yeah, I mean, Bo, he's moved to like the last like few months. He's moved to like the complete entry role, so that's something new to him. Obviously, he's still getting like used to that and everything. So even though like he might not be doing the best statistically, like he's still taking a lot of the opening engagements and stuff like that. So I think just because he's not fragging out like on the scoreboard, I guess he's still doing a lot there by just getting the map presence and the map control that we need, like especially off the rip. And sometimes like on today, like you'll see on Chalet, like when we're doing some of our roams, he's kind of playing the spot where it's like you're gonna die, hopefully you just waste some time and maybe take one or two with you. So
all right, fair enough. So one last question before we let you go. So obviously, bananas have become an integral part of TSM's success in Rainbow Six. We can see you bring them with you wherever you go now, apparently. But so I wanted to ask, what do bananas mean to you personally?
I mean, they're just a good snack, I guess. They're just, potassium. Make sure you don't want to cramp up in the middle of the game. You don't want to arm cramp or something. So yeah, you just eat a banana. Yeah, I mean, it's just a nice snack. I guess it's kind of like a staple at this point. It's just something that we started with and it just stuck around. So yeah.
Is there a chance when you talk to TSM's marketing guys, can they get a yellow jersey for you at some point? Just a yellow, black, and white?
I hope so,
We'll try to get like Chiquita on the phone or something if I knew sponsorship for you guys. Well, we're working on that. We're working on that. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today. Congrats on the win, and good luck with the practice for next time.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you go. Achieved, ladies and gentlemen. Fun guy to talk to. And obviously, who wouldn't be having a good time after a win like that, huh?
No, I think it's good redemption from yesterday.
Yeah.
It also does go to show OXG are just kind of on a hot streak right now. That was the same case back when they had a couple new players jump onto that roster in stages previous, and TSM just kind of fell prey to that yesterday. Not going to be the case when they get on a map that they're super comfortable with. That ban phase got manipulated to a point where they were going to go to a map that they were super cool with, regardless of which one it was. So they put themselves into a really nice spot, and XSET just didn't have a proper counter.
I like how Chief kept talking about energy. Maybe he was projecting about yesterday. Maybe they didn't have that right energy going to that OXG game. And
that's what he said.
It felt like maybe they were a little bit more jovial on stage, and like Bolo was like messing with the bananas and everything. So maybe there actually is some truth to that. When I think about it.
Throat go Bolo on the bananas. But yes, we have the. I want to say as well, like. Can't just transition off that one.
Come on, man.
I don't know what to say.
Hey, listen, it was the.
And he's gone. He's gone, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for stopping by the desk, Cookies. He is taking the
I don't remember what I was
elevator
gonna
back
say.
to
That was so
Challenger.
ridiculous. I don't know what I was gonna say. Whatever. Forget it.
And then we're all immature, so we'll just laugh at that for a while.
Of course.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about a highlight. Let's talk about specifically round number 7. And this is one where XSET kind of brought their kind of crazy roaming defense. It's very threatening, but TSM Cookies was able to handle it pretty well.
That's one thing XSET is doing really good right now is roaming. It's really threatening. A lot of the top teams. This TSM struggled with it in this clip here. SSG struggled on bank yesterday. So let's see it. We have XSET literally everywhere right now. This is a basement defense, and XSET's all over the top floor. They've got holes in the kitchen wall. They're they're kind of everywhere. And you see Merc has one hell of a job right here. I do not envy him as the flank watch here. He's got to watch above him. He's got to watch this hole in the wall. He's got to watch the hallway that someone can walk through. And you see TSM not necessarily clearing the whole map. They're just trying to sledge out the lobby right now without actually fully clearing XSET. And like I said, XSET's got a quality roam going right now for them. That's the one thing I can give to them. I'm going to see here that TSM struggles a little bit with this, Jake.
Yeah, it definitely feels as though XSET have the plan going in, but it feels like TSM just have too many angles to cover. That specific stairs flank getting nullified that quickly means that you have to denote someone else to watching up top because you know there's a threat, and even if like Bolo or someone else can catch like an equalizer someplace, it's still not going to matter because you're moving forces out of position to be able to counter guys like that, and it feels like more often than not, if that initial roam coverage isn't successful, then a team like TSM is absolutely prone to falling apart at the seams, and XSET were there at the right times. Like, if you're watching like too many long angles, especially on Chalet, that just feels like something that XSET can really capitalize on. And yeah, that's the one thing they're doing like well. Like from Bank yesterday on SSG to here, so far that's nice, but everything else still needs work.
You build off of it, right?
Hopefully you can build off of it, yeah.
We can build a Lego tower off of this.
We can. Well, maybe we can build something out of the stats that we're taking a look at here too. 7-3 victory for TSM, building off of their loss yesterday. Oh yes, I tried to transition like that. It worked okay. It worked okay.
I don't know if Gomez is building. This is like the second game in a row where Gomez is just kind of at the bottom there. And this is, I've been up Gomez. Yeah, look it up, Jacob, on your laptop. He was 3-9 yesterday, and he was 3-8 right here.
That's true. He's 6-17 overall, but he's.
What's going on?
Well, for someone who plays Yana and also roams around with several different ops, that is a bit concerning for sure. Not to say that him failing is like the focal point of XSET's overall attacking struggles, but I feel like that's definitely more strat oriented. If maybe he was in a better spot or had additional backup, I don't necessarily mind him dying off the entry engagements if there's someone there to trade. But more often than not, XSET's not like using a buddy system. There isn't somebody right there behind Gomez as he goes in and attempts to entry. He's done that 5 times. He's only 2-3 in that regard so far.
And you saw. There was one round, I think, where it was Yaga. It may not have been Gomez, but it was like that round kind of personified. It was like in 4K. I think it was Merc at the top of Solar Stairs. One guy swung, the other guy swung about 0.2 seconds later. If he did swung, he whiffed, and if whatever, I don't know what happened, but he didn't get the kill. Merc gets a 2-piece. Can't happen. At some point, that's not even IGLing. That's just synergy and whatnot. And again, I said it earlier when I was predicting XSET might be a couple weeks away from being what they want to be, but there's always a chance they can eventually be that thing. But
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we got a lot to look forward to with this XSET roster. But for now, it's TSM who is back on track with their first win in the NAL this season, and that means it's the end of that particular match. And it's time to look forward to the final match of the day. It's going to be Dark Zero taking on Beast Coast. 2 teams coming in with wins, but trying to get to that 2-0 spot here in week 1. We'll see if they can do it. When we come back, don't go anywhere. The NAL returns in just a few.